I'm going on a book buying ban. Hi, I'm Libby and I talk a lot about books, some Disney, and analysis. And I'm going to be talking about how I need to stop buying books. I had this whole challenge at the beginning of the year where I was going to try to do a shrink the shelf, and every month you would see hopefully my physical TBR numbers go down. And they went down for a bit, and then they started to go up, and then they went down a little, and then they went up. And I feel like there hasn't been much of a change. I'm currently at 35 books on my physical TBR, which isn't that much compared to a lot of other people I know, but it's a lot for me, and I want to get it further down. I started the year with 42, and I'm at 35, and that's only a 7-book difference, and I've read 50 books this year, so it's not like I'm not reading. I'm taking inspiration from this creator doing the book ban kind of challenge that she's trying to do. I did change a couple of things just for how I like to read and my own personal preferences. I figure that making a video will keep me more accountable than if I just say I'm gonna do this, I make this cute little template, and then I just don't do it. This will keep me accountable though. So here is my cute little graphic inspired by what she did, and I'm gonna take you through it. So at the top it says book ban, and for each of the different letters from book ban is a different prompt. There are a couple of rules. Her rules were that subscription boxes don't count. If she tries to get a special edition book from something, then that obviously would count against this. Her ones that she just has regularly, like she has a Fairy Loot, like I have a Fairy Loot. I get 1 book every month from Fairy Loot. Those aren't going to count against me because I know those are coming in. Yay. And then I also put another thing on here that I'll explain later because it's a little confusing. Her other rule was if she reads a book that she doesn't own or anything like that, or it doesn't fit one of these, and it's like 4 or 5 stars, and she buys the book after she's read it because she liked it so much, that won't count against her. And I don't know if I want to do that because I don't tend to do that very much anyway. It'll go on like a list of like, oh, I really like this book and I don't own it. I'll eventually want to own it, and I can like put that off later. So I'm not really going to count that as a rule because who knows if I'll even do that. And I also have my birthday and Christmas and the rest of this year, and I'm doing this for the rest of this year. And we will see if I even get those books then, because I might. B, the first B in book ban is for borrowed. So this is any book that is borrowed either from a friend or I borrow it using my Libby app, either Kindle or audiobook, or even if I go in person and borrow a book, which I don't do very often, but it's borrowing a book. And I'm specifically gonna say it's borrowing a book that I would have otherwise bought, instead of it just being books that I just get off the Libby app, because there are some books that I just get off of the Libby app because I don't want to buy it, but I want to try out the book anyway. But then there are some books that I'm like, oh, I really, really want to get it, but it's available on Libby. Let's see if I like it, and then I'll see if I want to get it later. Our first O is for off of the physical TBR, so it has to be a book that is off of my physical TBR. Next O is over 500 pages, because I don't have a lot of those, but they are ones that I don't tend to touch very often. And then the next one is a K for Kindle, and that is any books off of my Kindle TBR, or if I just read any book on my Kindle, I will also kind of count that because I do try to read a lot of books on my Kindle, and I'm trying not to read just any willy-nilly book. I'm gonna try to make sure that it's books that I already owned on my Kindle. Next one is BookBox, so that's reading any of my books from my subscription service, Fairy Loot. So any Fairy Loot book will count for a sticker there. Audiobook, I don't know how many stickers I'll get here. I don't own a lot of audiobooks. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, especially through the Libby app, and I don't know if I want to count those here because it's supposed to be trying to diminish my TBR, and I think I only own a couple of audiobooks. I share a library with Michael's mom on Audible, and so there's plenty of audiobooks on there. It's just most of them are hers because she's had it for so much longer. So I only count the ones that I own as ones that I have used like a credit to purchase for myself. And there's not many of them. There's like 2. So we'll see how much we get for that one, but the A that she had was for ARCs, and I don't use ARCs. I don't apply for any ARCs for anything, so I didn't think that would work, and I was like, well, audiobook would work. And I was like, I don't own a lot of audiobooks anyway. I get them all off of Libby. So we'll see if that rule changes as we keep going. And then the N is nudge or next, which is basically continuing a series that I'm currently working on, which I have quite a few. So hopefully that one will get used pretty frequently. So how this works is I have all of those different categories, and then we have different tiers. And I also have these cute little mugs, are my stickers. So anytime I complete one of those things, I complete a book and it matches one of those categories, I will put a sticker there. However, once a sticker is there, the sticker's there for that tier. And let's say I finish 2 books that are over 500 pages, I would put one in the first tier and then one in the second tier. That doesn't mean that I've gotten the first tier reward yet, because there has to be a certain amount in the tier 1 completed before I get the reward for it. I also kind of changed this from hers. She said she has to get 5 in a tier to be able to get that reward, and I've kept that for some of them, but also I made it a little bit harder for myself because I'm really trying to be better. For tier 1 and 2, I have to get 5 stickers, 5 of my mugs to get that tier. For tier 3, I have to get 6. And then for tier 4, I have to get all 7 categories, have to have a mug in it. Her tiers had different rewards for them, and I kept some of them and I changed others of them because I think this is where it can really get personalized. For tier 1, that is a movie night with Michael, my husband. He does not watch movies very often, and I beg him to watch movies with me all the time. So this is a nice little treat for us, is that if I finish 5 books in that first tier, we get to watch a movie together and have a movie night. Tier 2 is pick a meal. And this one is a little interesting. So we pick like 3 meals that we make per week. I pick one, he picks one, and then the third one, we kind of trade off who has to pick that one. So earning this reward means that I can pick a meal and he will completely make it and I don't have to cook at all. It could also mean that I can give up my picking the meal, because sometimes as an adult, you really don't want to just have to pick what's for dinner every single night for the rest of your life. It sucks. And so I can either use it to pick a meal and he cooks it completely for me, or you are picking the meal, I don't want to pick it this week. Tier 3 is I can earn a Kindle book. Michael suggested this one because he's like, Kindle books are a lot cheaper. I think that makes sense for a 3rd tier book. And I don't go like super crazy buying a bunch of Kindle books. I more often go crazy with buying physical books. So he was like, that one's a little bit easier to earn. I think it's okay if you do that. And then the 4th tier is earn a physical book. That one should seem pretty obvious, is I can go and buy a physical book. It could be that I'm buying a physical book like special edition from a thrift shop. Doesn't really matter. It's just you get one book that you've earned after reading all of those different ones. However, if I buy a book without earning that tier, without earning that reward, a sticker gets taken away. So I worked so hard to put that sticker on there by reading a book, but if I buy a book, one of my mug stickers gets taken off. Another thing that I added is what I call the treasure chest, because sometimes I might get like a couple of the tiers done and I don't want to use them right away. So I have something in the bottom corner called the treasure chest, which is where I can just kind of stack them. So let's say this has been going on and I'm doing really well, getting all these books off of my TBR and all of this stuff, and I've stacked up like 2 Kindle books and a physical book, but there's no books that I really want to buy at that time, then I can just put them in the treasure chest and be like, I can get these later, when maybe I go to the store and I'm like, there's 2 books that I want, but I don't want to just use one of my rewards and then have to take a sticker away. I can just use the treasure chest. I will not be doing an update every month on how this is going, just because I think that's a lot for me to have to do. I'll probably do a check-in maybe at the end of October or so, because it's the beginning of August right now. Might do one at the end of October. If not, you'll definitely see one by the end of the year of how this whole thing has gone. Or if I finish one whole board, whenever that might be, I might film something then. Just kind of depends on how fast I get through this, because I have no idea, because I'm trying this out and who knows. So far, I already have 2 mugs in tier 1. I have a borrowed book is already done, which is a little upsetting because that one's really easy to get done. And that was a novel love story. And then I also have off the physical TBR. I already have one, which is for Wizard of Oz. I am starting this, I said only books that I have finished when I started this, which was on July 30th, so it doesn't quite line up with like beginning of August. That's how I already have 2 books on there, even though I haven't finished a book in August. I started my physical TBR at 36 books when I made this, and I put a thing on here where my physical TBR needs to be less than 18, which is half of that, in order to stack stickers. Stacking stickers means that I can use one book that I finished and put multiple stickers on there if it matches multiple. So let's say I'm reading this book. It's off my physical TBR, and it's also a BookBox book because it's one of my Fairy Loot books. So right now, if I finish this book, I can only put it in one of those 2. I only get 1 sticker for it. However, if my TBR is currently down to 17 physically, then I could put this down for 2 stickers. So then I'm able to kind of get through the tiers maybe a little bit faster or more strategically. I was kind of debating back and forth on if I wanted to do that or if I didn't, and my husband came up with a good rule of how about that's another reward that you get to if you get your TBR down a certain amount. And I said, cool. And that's why I also think the treasure chest will come in handy later on down the line, because if I'm able to read only a couple of books and get a lot of stickers on the board because it just matches a lot, I'll be earning rewards a lot more frequently, and I might not want to use the rewards that often. We'll see. This is a whole accountability kind of thing. Let me know if you follow the creator that came up with this, and if you like how she's doing it, if you have an idea of how you might be doing it, if you want to just follow along and see how I do, follow along. It'll be a great time. I'm hoping that we can really try to get that TBR down. That's always the goal. Well, and to enjoy reading, but I also want to read the books that I have physically purchased, so then it's worth it. I did have a goal at the very beginning of the year to get my TBR, my physical TBR, down to less than 10 books. We will see how that goes. Maybe this will help. And with that, I will see you next time.